Welcome to my channel, guys. My name is James. Today we're going to be making some delicious Snickerdoodle cookies. And this was actually a recommendation by one of my Patreons for making these. So if you guys do happen to support the channel on Patreon, then you will be able to give some suggestions as well as to what we make on the channel. So as I said, this is a very tasty and delicious little recipe. They're super easy to make. There are a few steps that you need to follow, but you can easily make these in under, say, 20-30 minutes, easily at home. So anyway, guys, before we get going, be sure to like the video down below and let's get started. All right, guys, so two quick things. One, we do not have any cream of tartar. This is one ingredient that you do need to make, say, Snickerdoodle cookies, or you should have typically in all the recipes they say it. So we're gonna make it with baking powder instead. It's not something that I can find in the grocery store in Spain. Literally, it doesn't exist. And then the other thing that we're going to substitute today is, since we don't have a KitchenAid mixer, we're going to be using some good old elbow grease. So with a little bit of elbow grease and patience, today these are going to turn out to be delicious little cookies. Before we start this recipe, I would suggest first that you take your butter out of the fridge to bring it up to room temp, and also an egg for the recipe. So it's at room temp. All right, so while all this is going on, I'm going to weigh out about 2 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add this to the little mixing bowl for the dry ingredients, and if you want, you can pass this through a sieve to take out any of the lumps. I'm not going to bother to today, but anyway. Then I'm also going to measure out our sugar for a little later. We're not going to add this to the flour. It's going to be 1 and 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. Leave that off to the side, and then I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking powder to the flour. Mix the flour, the baking powder, and the salt together very well. Now we're going to work on the wet ingredients. So if the butter hasn't come up to room temp yet, pop it into the microwave to make it softer, to be able to work. And then I'm going to add the sugar that we weighed out, measured out, to the bowl with the butter, and I'm going to mix it until it's doubled in size, or until it becomes nice and fluffy. And at this point, I actually happen to forget to hit the record button. So once it's at this point, we add the egg to the mix and a little teaspoon of vanilla, and we mix this in gently. If you're using a normal mixer, put this on low. If you're mixing by hand, well, just a couple turns until everything's mixed well together. And after everything's at this point, we're going to slowly add the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients. And again, by doing this by hand, it'll take a little more elbow grease, but you know, you'll get some nice results. So once everything has come together nice and well, scrape down the bowl, scrape down the sides with the rubber spatula, which again, if you don't have one, I would highly suggest that you get one. And now we're going to make sure that the oven is preheated to about 190 centigrade or 375 Fahrenheit. I'm going to take out my baking trays, put some parchment paper down on both of them, and I'm going to take a little cookie cutter, and we're going to, well, portion out how many little cookies that we're going to make. Now, once you've portioned out all the cookies, we're going to make our little topping mix. It's going to be about 1/4 cup of sugar, granulated sugar, and I'm only going to use a tablespoon of cinnamon. So mix these two well together, and then we're going to take our little cookies that we rolled out or scooped out, and we're going to completely cover each and every one of them. Make sure you have about 2 to 3 inches worth of space between each cookie. And once you've finished using the topping for all these little cookies, and you'll probably have a lot left over anyway, so you can save it for later, we're going to put these little cookies into the oven. I'm going to set a timer for about 12 minutes, and we want to keep an eye on them. They're going to slowly cook down. They'll still be a little fluffy as well. And then once the timer's gone off, I'm going to take them out of the oven, and I'm going to set them on my little wire rack to let them cool down. And that's it. You see how easily these break apart? I mean, they're so easily breakable. Taste test time. Good, huh? Very, very good. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this super easy and tasty little cookie Snickerdoodle recipe. If you have any questions or comments, as always, don't hesitate to write me down below, or, well, and if you, more importantly, like the video, subscribe to the channel to stay tuned for more content, as well as like the video down below if you did like this one. And just to let you guys know, I am still in the process, I'm about halfway through on finishing my culinary cookery course. So if you're interested in that, definitely, well, subscribe or at least follow me on Insta to stay tuned for when that comes out. Until then, guys, take care, have a great week, and I'll see you guys again very soon.